Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I'm making this video because I just finished this excellent book entitled The Essential Max Muller, and he was considered to be the founder of the science of religion, or i.e. comparative religion, and he also studied languages and mythology as well. And if you want to see what I'm reading, I have a Goodreads account, and this was actually an idea that was stated by Wayman29, who suggested that we post the links to our Goodreads account so you can all see what we're reading and what we have read and what we plan on reading in the future. And I think I can speak for Wayman and myself. This is by no means what you see on Goodreads is by no means all of what we have read and what we will read and what we are currently reading. This is just our attempt to post as much as possible. So if you want to see what at least what I'm currently reading is up to date. But I think for both of us, we have a lot to still post as far as what we have read and what we do plan on reading. But this is I just finished this today, and I want to read a couple selections from his book. I had a lot more that I was going to read, and I realized, you know what? These two places summarize, I think, his attitude. And like I've said in my recent videos, I'm sort of like a sponge right now. I'm taking in a lot of information and sort of grappling with all of it. And I'm not saying that you all have to agree with what I'm about to read. I'm not saying I agree with everything that I read in this book. But these are the two parts that I think really hit somewhere in me. And if you disagree with it, that's great. If you agree with it, that's also great. And if you think this is a complete load of crap, that's great. But just please consider it. And I'll just read these two places. If you're interested in seeing my Goodreads account, I've put it in the link below, and I've also put a link to a Wikipedia article just to give a little introduction about Max Muller himself. This is the first part of his, this is chapter 11, The Ideas of Infinity and Law, and I wanted to read this particular beginning of it at least, because he wrote this in 1878, and it really sounds like someone could have written this in today's newspaper. Every day, every week, every month, every quarter, the most widely read journals seem just now to vie with each other in telling us that the time for religion is past, that faith is a hallucination or an infantile disease, that the gods have at least been found out and exploded, and there is no possible knowledge except what comes to us through our senses, that we must be satisfied with facts and finite things, and strike out such words as infinite, supernatural, or divine from the dictionary of the future. It is not my object in these lectures to either defend or to attack any form of religion. There is no lack of hands for either the one or the other task. My own work, as I have traced it out for myself, as it seemed to be traced out for me by the spirit of the founder of these lectures, is totally different. It is historical and psychological. Let theologians, be they Brahmins or Smartmans, Mobeds or Mullahs, rabbis or doctors of divinity, try to determine whether any given religion be perfect or imperfect, true or false. What we want to know is how religion is possible, how human beings, such as we are, came to have any religion at all, what religion is, and how it came to be what it is. When we are engaged in the science of language, our first object is not to find out whether one language is more perfect than another, whether one contains more anomalous nouns or miraculous verbs than another. We do not start with the conviction that in the beginning there was one language only, or that there is a present, or that there will be in the future one only that deserves to be called a language. No, we simply collect facts, classify them, try to understand them, and hope thus to discover more and more the real antecedents of all language, the laws which govern the growth and decay of human speech, and the goal to which all language tends. It is the same with the science of religion. Each of us may have his own feelings as to his own mother tongue or his own mother religion, but as historians we must allow the same treatment to all. We have simply to collect all the evidence that can be found on the history of religion all over the world, to sift and classify it, and to try thus to discover the necessary antecedents of all faith, the laws which govern the growth and decay of human religion, and the goal to which all religion tends. Whether there ever can be one perfect universal religion is a question as difficult to answer as whether there ever can be one perfect universal language. If we can learn that even the most imperfect religion, like the most imperfect language, is something beyond all conception wonderful, we shall have learnt a lesson which is worth many a lesson in the various schools of theology. It is a very old saying that we never know a thing unless we know its beginnings. We may know a great deal about religion. We have read many of the sacred books, the creeds, the catechisms, and liturgies of the world, and yet religion itself may be something entirely beyond our grasp unless we are able to trace it back to the deepest source from whence it springs. In doing this, in trying to discover the living and natural springs of religion, we must take nothing for granted except what is granted by all philosophers, whether positive or negative. I explained in my first lecture how I was quite prepared to accept their terms, and I mean to keep to these terms to the very end of my course. We were told that all knowledge, in order to be knowledge, must pass through two gates, the gates of the sense and the gate of reason. Religious knowledge also, whether true or false, must have passed through these two gates. At these two gates, therefore, we take our stand. Whatever claims to have entered in by any other gate, whether that gate be called primeval revelation or religious instinct, must be rejected as contraband of thought, and whatever claims to have entered by the gate of reason, without having passed through the gate of the senses, must equally be rejected as without sufficient warrant, or ordered at least to go through the first gate in order to produce there its full credentials. And this last, the second and last one that I'd like to read, was a speech he made at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago, where a lot of representatives of different religions attended. And this is the final part of his statement that I'd like to read it. But let us not forget, therefore, what has been achieved by this Parliament in the world of deeds. Thousands of people from every part of the world have for the first time been seen praying together, Our Father which art in heaven, and have testified to the words of the prophet Malachi, have we not all one Father? Have not one God created us? They have declared that in every nation he that feareth God and worketh righteousness is accepted to him. They have seen with their own eyes that God is not far from each one of those who seek God, if haply they may feel after him. Let theologians pile up volume upon volume of what they call theology. Religion is a very simple matter, and that which is so simple and yet so all-important to us, the living kernel of religion, can be found, I believe, in almost every creed, however much that husk may vary. I think what that means, think what that means. It means that above and beneath and beyond and behind all religions there is one eternal, one universal religion, a religion to which every man, whether black or white or yellow or red, belongs or may belong. What can be more disturbing and distressing than to see the divisions in our own religion, and likewise the divisions in the eternal, universal religion of mankind? Not only are the believers in different religions divided from each other, but they think it right to hate and to antagonize each other on account of their belief. As long as religions encourage such feelings, none of them can be the true one. And if it is impossible to prevent theologians from quarreling, or popes, cardinals, archbishops, and bishops, priests, and ministers from pronouncing their anathemas the true people of God, the universal laity have surely the highest duty to fulfill. Their religion, whether formulated by Buddha, Muhammad, or Christ, is before all things practical, a religion of love and trust, not of hatred and excommunication. Suppose that there are, and there always will remain, differences of creed. Are such differences fatal to a universal religion? Must we hate one another because we have different creeds or because we express in different ways what we believe? Let us look at some of the most important articles of faith, such as miracles, the immortality of the soul, and the existence of God. It is well known that both Buddha and Muhammad declined to perform miracles, nay, despised them if required, as evidence in support of the truth of their doctrines. If, on the contrary, the founder of our own religion appealed, as we are told, to his works in support of the truth of his teachings, does that establish either the falsehood or the truth of the Buddhist, the Mohammedan, or the Christian religion? May there not be truth even without miracles? Nay, as others would put it, may there not be truth even if resting apparently on the evidence of miracles only? Whenever all three religions proclaim the same truth, may they not all be true, even if they vary slightly in their expression, and may not their fundamental agreement serve as stronger evidence even than all miracles? Or take a more important point, the belief in the immortality of the soul. Christianity and Mohammedanism teach it. Ancient Mosaism seems almost to deny it. while Buddhism refrains from any positive utterance, neither asserting nor denying it. Does even that necessitate rupture and excommunication? Are we less immoral because the Jew doubted and the Buddhist shrank from asserting the indestructible nature of the soul? Nay, even what is called atheism is often not the denial of a supreme being, but simply refusal to recognize what seem to some minds human attributes, unworthy of the deity. Whoever thinks that he can really deny deity must also deny humanity. That is, he must deny himself, and that, as you know, is a logical impossibility. But true religion, that is, practical, active, living religion, has little or nothing to do with such logical or metaphysical quibbles. Practical religion is life. It is new life, a life in the sight of God, and it springs from what may truly be called a new birth. And even this belief in a new birth is by no means an exclusively Christian idea. Nicodemus might ask, how can a man be born again? The old Brahmins, however, knew perfectly well the meaning of that second birth. They called themselves Dvaiga, that is, twice born, because their religion had led them to discover their divine birthright long before we were taught to call ourselves the children of God. In this way, it would be possible to discover a number of fundamental doctrines shared in common by the great religions of the world, though clothed in slightly varying phraseology. Nay, I believe it would have been possible even at Chicago to draw up a small number of articles of faith, not of course 39, to which all who were present could have honestly subscribed, and think what that would have meant. It rests with us to carry forth the torch that has been lighted in America, and not to allow it to be extinguished again till a beacon has been raised, lighting up the whole world, and drawing towards it the eyes and hearts of all the sons of men in brotherly love and in reverence for that God, which has been worshipped since the world began, albeit in different languages and under different names, but never before in such unison, in such world-embracing harmony and love as at the great religious council at Chicago. Thank you, and peace be with you all.